Stars Emergency Center. This is Lisa. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, I'm Christy. I've got a cougar attack at the Nose Mountain Road location, and I've got GPS coordinates. Female victim bleeding out. Attack to the face.
Just tell me exactly what's happened there.
Yeah, so she was attacked by a cougar. Her head is bleeding. She may have a crushed skull. We're not sure. Right now we have a first aider holding on gauze pads on her skull and keeping her stabilized. We've covered her, and now we're trying to figure out transportation.
Okay, we do have EMS responding and Stars and dispatched as well to your area. I just have a few important questions.
I leaned over her because you can't hear anything. The aircraft was firing up. I couldn't really hear what she was saying, and I got really low down and I listened to her and she said, "Am I gonna die?"
My heart went out to the team members locally. They didn't get up that morning to feel that was going to happen, that one of their team members, family members, was impacted directly.
From Stars Air Ambulance, this is Mission Ready, presented by WBM Technologies.
Welcome to Mission Ready. This is episode 1 of a deep dive into a mission by Stars. We are a nonprofit healthcare organization that provides pre-hospital critical care from 6 bases throughout Western Canada. I'm Deborah Tetley.
And I'm Lyle Aspinall. In this inaugural season of Mission Ready, we're breaking down one particular Stars call from the summer of 2014, when a massive cougar left a woman fighting for her life and her colleagues and friends scrambling to get the help she needed.
It's late on an August evening, and in a remote mountainous meadow more than 100 kilometers south of Grande Prairie, Alberta, a group of 8 biologists is getting ready for bed. They're aiming for an early start to some work the next day. Jenny Burgess is one of them.
Yeah, so we were going out, we were doing some fisheries work. We were all from different offices, so we were just arriving that day, and we had set up camp, and we were going to fly out the next morning. We were doing some helicopter sites, so we were going to fly out the next morning, and we were going to go hit a whole bunch of different streams to do a whole bunch of different fisheries work. So that was kind of our blitz for the summer to get a whole bunch of that done. So we had 8 of us spread out from different offices. It was getting close to dark. We were just all getting ready for bed.
This mission is a perfect example of why Stars was founded in the first place. When we launched in 1985, part of the reason was to provide urgent medical care and transport to people far away from cities or deep in rural areas of the province.
We were in a remote place. We're 2 hours away at most. The roads are impassable because it's rained, and when it gets rained, there's just too much clay and the roads get really hard to drive through. It'd taken our Fish and Wildlife officers hours and hours to get down the road to us. There's no way. We're realistic too. We'd worked in that area for years. There's no way that anything except for a helicopter is going to get there.
Although the group was well prepared with an emergency plan, impassable roads and bad weather weren't top of mind before things took a turn. By all accounts, it was a beautiful area that any outdoor enthusiast would love to absorb. This group of biologists was no different.
It was one of my preferred watersheds to work in. It was beautiful. The water was clear. You could still find fish like grayling and bull trout.
And that is Marcia Birkigt, the patient at the center of this entire first season of Mission Ready. She has generously allowed us to analyze in great detail one of the worst days of her life.
Yeah, all kinds of wildlife in the area. The watershed was one that I'd go back to on weekends. There were all kinds of interesting fossils to look at and just neat places to discover. We set up camp in an old decommissioned well site. It was surrounded by a regenerating cut block. It was a great evening. We're never in a group of 8, so it was fun seeing coworkers we haven't seen all summer. There were a couple large electrical storms that were moving through the area. So after everyone was in, it had poured rain, and the road out was probably in terrible shape. But we were there for a few days. We had a helicopter scheduled to come the next day and pick us up and fly us into our hard-to-reach locations. So the evening was going great. It was about 10:15, and we were getting ready for bed.
What the biologists didn't know is that they were being watched this whole time. Eyes peered out from among a grove of bushes, waiting for an opportunity.
I found myself about 40 meters away from the group and walking back when suddenly a couple of feet in front of me, a cougar's head just kind of popped out of the bush and was staring at me. Like, I'd worked in remote areas for about 12 years at this point in time, and like, I'd been used to encounters with bears, but never a cougar. Like, there was nothing that gave me a clue that it was there watching me. So it was so close I could reach out and touch it. I usually always have my bear spray on my hip, but I guess with the large group, I left it back at camp. I wasn't very far away, and there were so many of us. So the cougar began to approach. I began to step back. It was kind of like this delicate walk we were doing. It kept coming closer. I kept coming back. I was yelling to alert the other people I was with. Then the only thing I had was this 2.5-foot spade I was carrying. I began swinging at the cat, hitting it in the face. It kept coming, managed to dislodge a little bit or get its face, dislodge some hair, but it just kept coming towards me. So to this day, I'm still not sure what happened first, if I tripped or if it was the cougar that pounced.
Jenny Burgess was inside her trailer nearby getting ready for bed when the commotion started.
And all of a sudden we hear some screaming. And then one of the guys is screaming that Marcy's down, Marcy's down, and that she was attacked. And that there was a cougar. So yeah, so we flew out of the trailer. Most of us didn't even tie our shoes on. And
just a quick word of warning here. In the next 2.5 minutes, Marcy describes the attack in detail, which may be difficult for some listeners. To skip past this part, jump to the 9-minute 30-second mark. We'll give you a few seconds.
Yeah, so the trip and the pounce seemed to happen simultaneously. The cougar's top canine sunken up here at my hairline, the bottom at my lower jaw. Instantly, I just feel heat from blood pouring down my face. I was on the ground at this point, and I was able to quickly roll onto my stomach and protect my organs and cover the back of my neck to protect it. The attack was really quite vigorous. It bit down on my head, let go, bit down again, this time picking me up completely by my head and just shaking me around like I was a rag doll. Like, the power and strength of the attack was pretty impressive. Put me down, picked me up by my head again, and this time it bounded with me about 10 meters. It was carrying me completely off the ground into some pretty dense, thick forest. I really began becoming concerned at this time that I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. I don't know if my coworkers will be able to find me. Luckily, when I first started yelling, my coworkers ran towards the sound. And luckily, there was a lot of really tall, strong people there. They came into the cut block, couldn't find me. Then they saw my legs shoot up in the air as the cougar picked me up again and was dragging me deeper into the thick vegetation. So they ran at it to find the cougar standing on my back with my head engulfed in its mouth.
2 of Marcy's coworkers fought back, kicking the cougar and trying to chase it off.
But the cougar didn't leave the area. It stayed around, kept circling, kept trying to get closer. Like, at that point, I thought my skull was fractured, because the sound of a large carnivore chewing on your head is a horrible thing. There was a lot of popping and cracking. So they started doing first aid. Everybody else soon got there.
Marcy's colleagues tried everything at their disposal to call for help, but between their remote location and technical issues caused by the day's electrical storms, it was easier said than done.
We had like a safety plan set into the fire center. We had radios, we had satellite phones, cell phones, spot, messengers. With all the electrical storms that were passing by, our sat phones kept dropping calls. The spot messengers take a half hour to send. There's no cell phone service. There were too many storms to have the radios work. So it took a while in order to get a call out for help for the next hour and a half. The cougar kept coming in. It tried pouncing on some other people in the group that I was with. It was always circling around. It was nighttime now at this point. We had 2 extremely well-trained camp dogs, and we let them out of the truck. They'd been locked in, and they kind of put a chase on the cougar. We were able to keep it back a bit farther, but it kept still trying to come in and get me because it was hungry, I guess. For the next hour and a half, they had to apply first aid and fight to keep the cougar back. Too afraid to move me into our trailer or someplace safer just because we weren't sure what the injuries were. And I kept really hoping that Stars could come and pick me up because it was a 2.5-hour drive on good roads, and it had been raining, and the roads could get really terrible. And I couldn't imagine how long it would take for an ambulance to come, if it could even make it down the roads anymore and get me.
Finally, through a combination of text messages and sporadically successful phone calls to a variety of numbers in their emergency response plan, including 911, the biologists eventually managed to connect directly with the STARS Emergency Link Center.
It's very limited access. It just rains. The roads are very slick.
I'm just updating the crew, so they've already been responding. We actually received a call from someone else who received a text message from someone on scene there. So we do have resources.
Sorry, that was me trying to get...
Okay, well,
okay, perfect. Sorry.
For a while already. I just have a few questions.
That was part of the STARS Emergency Link Center's recording of the call. It's an exchange between the Northern Communications Center and one of Marcy's colleagues at the scene. It is among several conversations stick-handled by STARS communications specialists during the mission that day. So, what exactly is the STARS Emergency Link Center, or the ELC? The answer is in the name, says its director, John Griffiths.
So we act as a central hub to link everybody together. It's inherent to the name. So everybody who needs to talk to each other gets to do it all in one big conversation. The communication flows freely, quickly, to the right people at the right time. So there's a lot of moving parts: helicopters, ground ambulances, hospitals, doctors, physicians, nurses, air traffic control, landing zones, fire, dispatchers, 911, RCMP, whoever. And we like to put everybody in the know, what they need to know, when they need to know it, and we quarterback that, make sure it's all done efficiently and smoothly. And that means the helicopter can go out of the door, straight to the patient, the hospitals receive the patient, everybody knows what's going on. So we don't employ dispatchers here, we employ emergency communications specialists because we have to link a plethora of people into various calls at different times. So it's almost like being in an orchestra, and you know the piece you have to play, but also you're aware of everybody else's part. So when you have to come to speak, you anticipate that time, you're ready for it, but you're also listening to everybody else. And like a giant jigsaw as well, you're aware of all the parts, but you're looking for those corner edges just to get the frame and the outline, and then you move in.
In short, the ELC is a 24-hour emergency medical communications center that offers timely information to emergency service providers for critically ill and injured patients, as well as a range of services for industry partners.
In Alberta and Saskatchewan, the ELC oversees STARS helicopter missions, coordinates transport and care for critically ill and injured patients, and facilitates online medical consultations. In Manitoba, dispatch is handled by a provincial system, while the ELC monitors helicopter flight paths as an added safety measure.
Mission Ready will be right back.
I'm Summer Hashem, Director of Technology at STARS. We absolutely enjoy working with WBM Technologies. They have a well-established process for client engagement, which really drives innovation and project success. As a technology partner, they understand our needs and goals and work to design effective solutions that are right for us. Like WBM, STARS has deep roots in the communities we serve across Western Canada. You could say we have a shared goal of being ready and available when people need us the most.
And now, back to the show.
At least 3 emergency communication specialists in the ELC were involved in Marcy's mission. Leo LeBlanc was one of them.
Well, the call came in. It was a fairly straightforward call, if you want to call it that. There was some minor weather issues for the helicopter. We knew that it was a cougar attack. There was people around. the Grand Prairie area there's a lot of remote areas. So I guess we always try to look at do we have access to the patient? There was not a massive issue with accessibility. There were people with the patient. So that was problem number one that was solved. And then otherwise, I mean, of course, when you hear a cougar attack, you kind of right away don't assume it's going well.
The ELC becomes involved in emergency calls when the likelihood that a patient will need critical care reaches a certain threshold. Sometimes that means transferring a patient from one level of hospital to another. Other times it's a scene call where a patient is away from a hospital but needs care and transfer ASAP. Marcia was in the second category, obviously, and although a ground ambulance was on its way, it quickly became apparent it wouldn't get there soon enough.
What's your guys' ETE, the ambulance team?
ETA for the ambulance is going to be 101 minutes, it says. But STARS will be there faster.
I don't think we have 101 minutes. No, we'll be there. We're on our way, Jenny.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. We just have ground ambulance.
Once STARS was able to launch, the flight would be quick.
We're going to be there in about 24 minutes.
While she and her colleagues waited, Jenny Burgess stayed on the line with the STARS Emergency Link Center and quarterbacked her teammates through setting up a landing zone where the STARS helicopter and crew could land safely.
You guys need to notice if there's anything on the ground that the helicopter shouldn't land on. You need to turn your light on, and you need to wave your arms, and you'll wave them off, and then they'll come back down again, okay? And you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here fine.
Okay, there is a tapped off well pad, or just a well stem here, but everything else is clear for landing here. It's the wellhead will be illuminated.
Wellhead will be illuminated?
Put yourself in Jenny's shoes. It's dark. Your coworker and friend is fighting for her life nearby. Somewhere in the blackness, a hungry cougar is lurking. You're standing on top of a truck, hoping to retain cell reception for one of the most important phone calls of your life. And now, you need to help prep a landing area for an emergency helicopter crew that is headed your way.
And what direction is the wellhead from the landing zone?
It's a huge area. This is like 10 football fields. So there's lots of room.
What direction is the wellhead from the landing zone that you're setting up? We want to land closest to the patient as we can.
It will be to the east of where the helicopter is going to land. We have three trucks set up.
Okay.
In a triangle, and they can land in
So the helicopters land inside the trucks, inside the circle of trucks?
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, we can back up. And then give them
Okay.
more room.
Sounds good. And the wellhead, you said that's
Very well done. You definitely had your wits about you. And when you listen to that call, you are in control and also very well aware of what's going on around you and how to get stuff done.
Yeah, thanks. I think, in a lot of those situations, things just become crystal clear and you just do what you need to do, right? And, a lot of us had some kind of emergency training in our background. I mean, I'm not saying like STARS or paramedics or anything, but just we all had worked in the field a lot, and we know that when things don't always turn out in the field how you want it to be. So we've all learned how to navigate stuff. So I think that probably helped everyone is just, rising to that challenge and just doing what you need to do.
Although we only interviewed Jenny Burgess from the group on the mountain, everyone there played a pivotal role. In fact, two of them, Miles Brown and Chad Little, would go on to receive prestigious Medal of Bravery awards to recognize their actions on Nose Mountain. Of course, none of them had accolades on their minds at the time. They were dealing with much heavier thoughts, including this pressing realization.
Okay, I have a question. Is Josh one of the pilots, or is his girlfriend?
Josh is off scene now. Josh Brewster?
Yes. Can you let him know?
I'm going to do that right now.
Right.
So do you need anything else from the Link Center? We've notified management to let Josh know, so they'll get a hold of him as soon as they can.
Okay.
On the next Mission Ready.
Everything's out of your hands. I mean, you train to have control over those kind of situations, but in the end, there's really not a lot you can do. You just kind of let the scenario play itself out. You know that the right people are in the right place to do what they can. And that's really all you can ask them to do.
Mission Ready, presented by WBM Technologies, is researched and produced entirely in-house by me, Deborah Tetley.
And me, Lyle Aspinall. We're part of the STARS communications team. Mission Ready contains original theme music by Kaya Gamble, the daughter of one of our longtime former pilots. Find her at kayagamble.com. That's K-A-I-Y-A Gamble.com.
Subscribe to Mission Ready wherever you found it so you don't miss an episode, and rate and review wherever possible. Be sure to tell others about it too. And if they don't know how to access a podcast, please show them how, or just point them to stars.ca/podcast, where they will find several ways to listen. We've also created a bonus episode of Mission Ready that tells the story of how STARS began. We'll release it at the end of this season.
Our ability to provide world-class patient care since 1985 is only possible because you make it happen. As a charity, we rely on support from the public so we can be there for the next patient who needs us. To donate and to join our fight for life, please visit stars.ca. Until next time, thanks for listening.